Ricky,
Yes.
have you ever thought about what you want people to say at your funeral?
At my funeral?
Yeah.
What?
Women always think about this stuff.
Is there a reason why we talk about this?
Because we're talking about what we want to leave behind when we go. This would be the most morbid yet meaningful marriaging we've ever done.
Hey, welcome to Marriaging. We're going to talk about what people are going to talk about at your funeral. We'll see you in a few minutes.
You and me, we got this. Gonna take some practice. Superpower oneness. We are marriaging. Oh, oh.
Wonder Twin Powers activate.
We are marriaging.
Hey, everybody. I'm Ricky.
I'm Nova.
And welcome to episode 23 of Marriaging.
That's a lot of episodes.
But we skipped 2 weeks because we were on vacation.
It always felt so good.
It was amazing. What we thought about on vacation
Yes.
and the conversation we had with our son when we were on vacation is basically...
I had the conversation, right? We both did.
we were talking about this show, Marriaging, right? And our son made a statement.
Which was actually very, very cool. He said that he had thought about marriaging and told me that, man, I really love it that you guys are doing this. But he went into like this whole deal of how, you know, he'll be able to share it with not only his kids but his grandchildren and like even beyond that. And he's like, that's I'll always be able to look back and hear what you guys had to say about marriage and relationships, and it kind of made me teary-eyed. It also made me really like feel accountable, accountable for the things that we share.
Like, we better get it right.
Maybe.
Also, over our vacation, he actually said, hey, let's go get the the big picture bin. And so Shiloh, our daughter, and our son, Elisha, and Nova and I, we sat in our garage for hours.
On the cold hard cement.
On the cold hard cement.
It was too heavy to move in the
We had pictures everywhere. We had video cassettes. We had floppy disk.
Yeah, we had floppy. I got to go to Costco. I don't even know how to get that stuff off of floppy disks. Who has them? We're so old.
There's a very large segment of our listening audience right now that as soon as this is over, they're going to Google floppy disk. But the whole idea of what you're leaving behind was on our heart. So we wanted to come back from vacation and do this series on what you leave behind. What people are going to say about you, what people are going to say about your marriage when you're long gone.
I guarantee you, if we polled men and women, that women would probably think about this more than men. Do you think that? Have you ever thought about that?
All the time.
You do?
Yes.
Oh, okay, I'm wrong.
About what I'm going to leave behind or what people are going to say about me? I actually want to have a funeral before I die. So I just want to warn you, okay? So
I already know this.
if I get really sick, the other idea is at my memorial service, I want you to take some of my money I'm leaving to y'all and buy a trip for 2 to Hawaii.
I know. If you want it to be a raffle.
Yeah, I want it to be a raffle.
Oh my goodness, now I'm totally going to have to do this.
So for those of you that are invited to my funeral one day, you could win a trip to Hawaii. People are going to want to come to my...
We're going to ticket it. And not pay for the ticket your funeral.
And here's what I want you to do, okay? I want you to hire a celebrity. Like a well-known celebrity, okay? So like The Rock, okay? And I want you to pay him whatever he asked for. And he's going to show up at my funeral, okay? Yeah, no, you are, because check it out. Then everybody will see the Rock, Dwayne The Rock Johnson in the front row crying, and we're going to pay him extra to cry, and everybody there is going to be like, Ricky was friends with The Rock.
This is the most shallow idea. But I will give a trip to Hawaii away.
Okay, thank you. I was just joking about The Rock.
I know.
Kind of, but it'd be cool. But the idea of us leaving this, actually the word is legacy, right?
Yeah, but it feels like an old word, but it's a really, honestly, like, it's a meaningful word. Leaving something behind, you know, and something that's worth it. And when I think about, of course, marriaging, like what Elisha brought up, and leaving that for him and his kids. And I also think about the things that we pen and write, and for me, like music, like they'll have some of that. Like, more than that, underneath that stuff is the deep beliefs, like kind of what we built Marriaging on, the belief system that we, adhere to, and like the pillars of our life. I always say about my mom anyway, and she's still living, but you know, that she was like a prayer warrior, and that is like her legacy. She'll like, no matter what, she'll always say, you know what, we need to pray about that. We need to take that to prayer.
And that's her, what people are going to say about her when she's gone. We're saying that about her now, and she's still here.
Yeah.
Honestly, I would love for our kids to really have the like a concept of the things that were hard for us, the things that we failed at, the things that we were successful at, and to really know why they're here, their purpose, you know, and to live out their purpose. And in order to do that, we have to model that. And I think that's that word legacy, right? Which is an antiquated word. People don't really use it very often, but it's really what you leave behind. So what are you leaving behind?
And a lot, here's the thing, like a lot of people only think about legacy when they're old. When you first get married and you're 20, you're not thinking about, I wonder my legacy. But I think it is really important to think about, because we're not promised tomorrow. Like we have to kind of start out going, who am I becoming? What am I about? And what will I leave? And like on a daily basis, we leave something behind.
That's right.
Wherever we go with people. We're being shaped, and we're leaving things for our kids and how we respond to stuff. And I have a Bible that I'm writing in for Shiloh. I'm crying now. I know we're not dead. It just came.
Because you're thinking about what you wrote in your Bible for her. Yeah, but that's awesome. Because that's meaningful. It's a journal Bible, so you have like a column where you can write, and you'll read things in the Bible, and they'll stand out to you, and you're writing that because what you said.
Theological.
But what you said just a few seconds ago is important, because you said we're not promised tomorrow. You know, for those of you that read the Bible, you're familiar with this. But in the book of James, James was the brother of Jesus, and James did not actually follow Jesus until Jesus was dead and rose again. So his whole life, Jesus was under his roof, and he rejected Jesus, right? And then when Jesus died and rose again, that's when he decided he would follow Jesus. And he actually writes that life is like just a mist. It's just here and then you're gone. And that came to him, you know, it was a revelation that he received, and he actually acted upon that concern, like, oh my gosh, we could be here today and then tomorrow we're not here. And what happens to those who are left and I go? And what have I given?
What have I given them? Like what?
Yeah.
And if you think, like honestly, like just in contemplation, think like, what have I given to people that they can eat, be nourished, and move forward in? Like, and it causes me to like really think about marriage and leadership and family, and like I want our kids, like if we're talking about our legacy, like I want our kids to just crying all the time.
What's going on?
Oh no. I'm getting my period.
Oh gosh.
Just delete that.
Yes.
Your favorite. Okay. What I want is for our kids to say of us, we were humble and forgiving.
Yeah.
And merciful.
Yeah.
And that we loved people well, and we were easily corrected, that we could pivot with the Lord, you know, that nothing would take us out.
Resilient.
Yeah.
You know, when we're gone, whatever our ceiling was, is we want that to be our kids' floor. So in other words, anything that we've accomplished, succeeded in, things that from education, right, to athletics, to business, to relationships, that wherever the furthest we've taken it, we want them to start there and take their walk with the Lord, and what they accomplish for the kingdom, and I think honestly that's really what this marriaging series is about. Would you be brave enough, I guess, to say what is it that we want to leave behind? Could you consider making your ceiling your kids' floor, so they're starting from where you left off, right? As opposed to saying, I want to do great things so that my kids will remember me by my great things. Or I want to accomplish things. I want to make a lot of money. I want to have a lot of stuff so that I can leave all that to our kids. And that's really not going to get your kids very far.
I think about what Elisha said to us just the other day. You know, I'm grateful that you guys have, obviously there are times when we've like maybe overworked or been gone too much or whatever, but him saying that I really appreciate, you know, you guys taking time off, you know, being present, you know, allowing there to be boundaries, and that we valued like family time, quality time, togetherness, and that's pretty cool. You know, for him to share that as like a 19, almost 20-year-old.
Two quotes I want to read. One is by Jim Rohn, and Jim Rohn says this: all men and women must take responsibility to create legacies that will take the next generation to the level we could only imagine. And really that's
The ceiling and floor.
the ceiling and floor.
Our ceilings are floor.
The furthest we can go, we can't even imagine going further. Our kids are going to go there because we're going to set them up to find their way there, right?
And I think sometimes, like, I mean, especially probably with more money, and we can talk about that another time. I think that sometimes it's easy to go like, let me just make this great life so that when I'm gone, they can have all that stuff. But like, what kind of character we leave with them with, and who they become, and like how to be resilient, how to get up after you've been knocked down, how to persevere and keep going, modeling that. I want to leave that healthy view of failure for our kids. You know, you have to fail in order to do life. Like the best success is failure, but it's like how you deal with that failure. And I want to, you know, say like, I think that's something I really desire for our kids to see that in us, and leave them with the idea of don't quit.
I do think it's a generational thing, though. Back in the 50s and 60s, it was like your job is to leave an inheritance. That was it. If I have to work 3 jobs, I'm going to make sure when I leave, my kids are taken care of, and that's respectable.
No, it is, and that's important to take care of like your business.
Totally.
So that when your kids, if you leave this world,
they have something.
They have direction. They're not going to be put into someone else's hands.
The millennial generation. I mean, they get a lot of, you know, they get a
lot of press.
They get a lot of press, and mostly it's negative press. I'm not going to lie. You hear a lot of jokes about millennials and this and that. Yeah. But I'm going to tell you something about you all millennials, which is really awesome. Is millennials actually care less about stuff and money and more about experience in life. Like they want to experience the fullness of life, everything life has to offer. And we have one of those millennials, right? Yeah. So he's 19. Yeah.
He's like on the cusp of, I don't know if he's actually a millennial. Whatever the next one is, or
W.
I don't know what he is.
If you were to say, you know, I'm going to give you a brand new something, or you get to go on this adventure, he would choose that adventure in a heartbeat, right?
He would. It's also because he's an Enneagram 7, but that's another conversation. Yes. But it's true. Like, they are much more into getting the experience.
But here's the other quote that I wanted to read, which has to do with this, okay? It's from, actually, Ben Franklin.
Oh.
Okay, Ben Franklin says this: to not be forgotten as soon as one dies, write something worth reading or do something worth writing about. Part of what I want to leave our children is I want to step out in faith. I want to move forward in things that we're not sure about. To fully trust God because we can't trust ourselves. That's the message I want to leave behind for our children.
That's a good message. Saying, you know what, we're not sure. How can you be sure? We're going to take a risk, and even if it doesn't make sense, if we're listening, God's working all things together for the good of those that love Him and are called according to His purpose. So if they know their purpose and trust God with their life, I don't okay.
Yeah. One of my favorite communicators is Miles Monroe, and he would always say the richest place in the entire world is a graveyard, because it's full of unwritten books and businesses that were never open and inventions that were never invented and dreams that were never actualized. They're all in the graveyard. People were either afraid or concerned, or they were going to do it one day, and then they didn't have that one day. And honestly, for me, if you were to say, Ricky, what's the one thing you want to instill in your children when you leave, the one thing they remember you by, it's that.
Be fearless.
Be fearless. And find your purpose. And go after your purpose, knowing that God has instilled that purpose in your heart. He's going to give you everything you need to fulfill the calling that He has on your life.
we have to decide in our different families what is important to us, what do we believe that purpose is, and then help our children find that.
Yeah. What's the one thing for you? Like the one thing you want them to go, man, my mom.
It's the scripture verse: "Do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit, but in humility consider others better than yourself."
Yeah.
That's it. And then another one.
That's it. And then this other one is it.
I am the vine, you're the branches,
Yeah.
remain in me, I remain in you. Apart from me, you can do nothing. No matter where kind of they end up, just know that always come back, and that the best place to be is staying and remaining under the shadow of his wings and in the purpose that he has for their life. That's where love is. That's where the center of love is.
Yeah.
And love is always the best way.
It is that time for homework.
Oh, we gotta do some homework. Yeah, we're gonna do some homework.
That's good.
Different one.
I like that
It
one.
just came to me. This is what your homework's gonna be. You're gonna do a video time capsule for your family. For, if you don't have kids, then you're doing it for your nieces and nephews or whatever. But you're going to do a video time capsule of what you want them to know. What are the most important things to you? You want them to remember you by, maybe like silly things too, like your favorite games like Farkle. Uno. Like your best dates. Look at it as like this contribution to their future.
That's what we're doing here. And we actually want you to know that you can do it too. If you have a phone, which everybody has a phone, you do a 5-10 minute video. And then you show your kids, right? Or you show your neighbors if you don't have kids. Or you save it on your, social media page or whatever. Yeah. You don't have to share it with everybody. You can just keep it.
Yeah, you should just keep it and then like surprise people.
A video time capsule. That's it. Real simple.
Video time capsule.
And you can have somebody else record for you, and the two of you can talk, or you can record. I can record you doing your video time capsule, and you can record me, and then we could share those things.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah.
So that's it.
Yeah, that's it. That's
very simple.
That's simple homework. I think we're kind of like to wrap this up a little bit. Like we're in a time where people can barely think about tomorrow and what's going to happen and whatnot. So it's like, why are you asking us to like think about what we want to leave behind? But the truth is like this is an important time in life, and again, we're not promised tomorrow. So like these are the important things to talk about, and to like, I think we find things out about each other too when we ask the question like, what would you want someone to remember about you, and what would be valuable for others that you want them to have. So what can you give that maybe isn't monetary, but what can you give that's meaningful?
Advice, encouragement, correction.
Yeah.
All this worldwide craziness is causing people to go, well, what if there isn't a tomorrow, right? And it's causing a lot of fear. But if we could just challenge you to take that and not have fear, but take that pressure you feel and turn it into almost like an urgency of, I got to live my life right, and I have to make good decisions because I want to leave something behind for those people who knew me, those people I'm raising, right, the little ones, or just in general. I want to leave a contribution behind that's going to change life.
Yeah, and you can leave the contribution today, and you might still wake up tomorrow, but you're still contributing. Every day we contribute.
We hope that you weren't discouraged by all this. In fact, we hope you were encouraged. And leave your comments below. Either way, you can tell us that really bummed us out, or you can say that was awesome, and we will still love you. We promise. And we'll still be back here next week, like always, because every Friday night, join us because we are marriaging.
We are marriaging.
Come marriage with us.
Love you.
29 seconds left on my time clock. 24, 23.
Are we going to count down? That's a lot of counting. Okay, have a great week.
Love you guys.
We are marriaging.